What's up, comic fans? Today we're going to talk about my JLA 4-volume custom bind set. This is, of course, collecting the entire series of JLA across 4 custom binds. I'm going to talk about sort of why this should have been an omnibus release, what's in the books themselves. We're going to take a look at some of the artwork as well, the designs for the dust jacket that were done by Ben Williams, and a few other more details about the series and the creators involved. Before we jump into the action, just want to quickly say subscribe if you haven't already. We post content daily. If you like this video, you're going to like a lot of our videos. Be sure to hit the like button as well. If you did enjoy the video, it really helps us out. We are also sponsored by Dr. Squatch, an organic soap and men's healthcare product company. They're awesome. Matt uses them and he loves their soaps, their scents. They're fantastic, and it's all organic, chemical free. Check out the link in the description below. It will get you free shipping with your subscription. Also, be sure to check out our Patreon. We're actually doing a hardcover giveaway. We're going to be doing giveaways every month for our patrons, so be sure to check that out as well. There's a link down in the description. Lastly, be sure to check out our Patreon. We're actually doing a hardcover giveaway right now, setting up the voting as of this video. So very exciting stuff happening there. Check out the link in the description below. All right, well, JLA. This was a series that I was always on the fence about binding just because I thought we were going to get official releases from DC Comics. But a couple years ago, I said, screw it. I started buying the trade paperbacks. There were 9 volumes total for those. So it took a little bit of time to, get those released. We did get the whole thing, thankfully. And this is the series that ran from 1997 to 2006, 125 issues total, along with some bonus things like Secret Origin files and a few other tie-in issues here and there that we'll get into a little bit in a second here. But using those 9 volumes made it real easy. It was consistent all the way through, and of course I got to collect the entire thing with all the tie-ins. The dust jackets were made by a gentleman named Ben Williams, but we'll take a closer look at them in a second here. There are a lot of awesome writers involved in this book, guys like Chris Claremont, of course, Grant Morrison, Mark Waid, the guys that started this whole JLA run and made it as big as it was. But yeah, you get guys like Chris Claremont a little later on, Joe Kelly, a lot of really cool writers. I enjoyed all the different takes on the JLA team. Of course, it really does go downhill after Grant Morrison and Mark Waid. They knocked it out of the park, and while the other stuff is good, it's not as good as the stuff you're going to get in the Grant Morrison and Mark Waid content. I mean, honestly, this should have been a set of Omnis from DC Comics. Maybe they could have done it in 3 volumes instead. We are getting the JLA by Grant Morrison Omnibus soon, so that's going to collect a whole chunk of it. It's up to them, I guess, if they do one, by Mark Waid and one by Joe Kelly and whatever other writers were involved here as well. But we'll see what happens. We may not get the whole series in oversized hardcover format, but that's okay. The Grant Morrison stuff is some of the best stuff, followed by Mark Waid. So let's take a look at the designs of these books a little bit closer, at the detail of them, and start flipping through content, because that's what we all want to see, why these should have been, why the artwork justifies it, and what's happening in the stories overall. So starting off with the spine, I really love what Ben did with this. The connecting spine obviously was a no-brainer for me. I knew across 4 volumes it's going to look real cool. I love connecting spines in general, so it was a no-brainer for me, and I think he killed it. The way the JLA team looks at the bottom is fantastic. I love the details that were added to it. The numbering looks great. The creator listing looks great too. It's fantastic. I really enjoy it. And it turned out really well printed out as well. So, that's a fine-tuning game of measurements when you're trying to get these spines to connect and look good. I really do like the design that Ben did for the books, the front and the back. In terms of dust jackets for myself, I'm more of an artwork guy. I prefer to, showcase the artwork a little bit, let it stretch, maybe put some quotes on the flaps, but, keep it light on the text as much as possible. I guess the one thing that's kind of nice to put on a book is the table of contents, which I did not do for this, but Either way, I really enjoy the artwork, and while I love the images that Ben chose and the way it all looks and flows, and it really speaks to this series, my only issue with it is the resolution of the images. I'd really like to redo these with some more higher res images so it doesn't look as blurry when it's actually printed out. And then of course, just the printing itself. I used Staples for these, and Staples is horrible. If it's the only option you have, it's fine, it's good enough, but I mean, you can get way better dust jackets printed out at Houchin, and I mean, it's not even a comparison. You see scratches on these, you start to lose color a little bit. But if they were higher res images, I'd be a lot happier with these. But I really love the way they turned out, and I'm glad I have this on my shelf. So let's take some time to flip through the artwork. I'll flip briefly through each volume because I don't want to spoil things, since even the Grant Morrison stuff is going to be coming out in official releases, in the official release soon. And I mean, it's great. You get Howard Porter artwork with the Grant Morrison material, and then with Mark Waid, you start seeing artists like Brian Hitch and a whole multitude of others. But Howard Porter's artwork is really solid throughout. You get great story arcs like the White Martians, and of course, with Mark Waid, you get things like Tower of Babel, Rock of Ages with Grant Morrison. There's a lot of really fantastic story arcs here. And of course, you get to see the original Justice League characters come back to the team, the Silver Age OGs, along with some new recruits, right? You get to see Steel, Huntress, a few other characters jump into the mix as well, adding their own flavor. Of course, you get the blue Superman at this point as well. But it's great. It's great. You get to see, Connor Hawk, Oliver's son, in here as well. It's pretty cool. There's a lot of stuff going on. The story arc with Prometheus is fantastic as well. He's a really interesting villain, and I really enjoyed that story arc. They were doing some fun stuff back then, having a lot of fun in the DC 90s, and then going into the 2000s. Let's take a look at volume 2 here really briefly. I think at some point too you start getting artwork from guys like Doug Monkey and some really talented artists. Not that I like Howard Porter, but I think sometimes it's a little action figure-y, which is fine. It works well for the late 90s, and it's kind of fun with Morrison's crazy ideas. But you get some really cool splash pages, you get some really vibrant colors. I'm really excited to see how it looks on oversized paper, if it's readable. That's one other thing. That's why I liked doing this custom bind, was because it's actually possible to read it. It lays flat. It's not an overly gigantic book, and I worry about what's going to happen with this official release from DC with the Grant Morrison material. Looking at volume 3 here a little bit. God, I wish I could remember all the names of creators and whatnot that worked on these books. You do get some John Byrne in here, that's right. I think he brings the Doom Patrol into the mix for a little bit. There's a lot of material here, and it's a shame that DC didn't make official releases, just doing, volumes 1 through 3. I think is a missed opportunity. I think a lot of people would have bought 3 volumes, a trilogy set, if it meant getting an entire volume of JLA. But, at least with the Grant Morrison material, they are getting the best of the best in there for the fans to enjoy. But that's about it, folks. Let me know what you think. Have you read this JLA series? What are your thoughts on it? Would you have bought a set of JLA Omnis if DC Comics had decided to go that route? Are you going to pick up the JLA by Grant Morrison Omnibus? Let us know down in the comments below. If you're a new viewer, be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you know whenever we post a new video. We post content daily, comics, hardcovers, all this stuff. Thank you all very much for tuning in. Be sure to check out our Patreon if you're interested in joining in on the giveaways that you will all have a chance to win if you're a patron. And check out Dr. Squatch as well. Keep yourself clean. Thanks, everybody. This is Mike from the Hardcover Comic. Until next time, as always, you stay classy, Internet.